Selamat sejahtera. My name is Eric Dominic. Today I will be presenting my OSH and HIRARC HIRARC briefing about safety officer at company Chipnov Sendirian Berhad Kulim High Tech Park. So, who is the safety officer? Okay, safety officer legally appointed individual under OSHA at 1994, Section 29, responsible for ensuring workplace safety and health. The role include conducting inspection, preparing hierarchy, assessment, and advising both management and workers on compliance with safety law. Why this briefing matter? Okay, because a DOSH compliance audit is scheduled in 4 weeks. Currently, no HIRARC has been conducted for the clean room or fabrication lab. And also, management and workers are aware of their legal duties under OSHA. Okay, what is the role about safety officer? Okay, as a, as a safety officer, newly appointment safety officer, you act as a bridge between law and practice. You must highlight risk, propose, control, and ensure both management and workers adopt a proactive safety culture. And also, this briefing set the foundation for a systematic OSH approach that protect life, prevent accident, and avoid penalties. So, why OSS matter? Okay, because in real case in Malaysia, semiconductor industry show chemical fire and incident. So, DOSH report highlight a chemical related accident in semiconductor fab where improper handling of CMP slurry, solvents, or gas leak to worker injuries. For example, a clean room fire incident in Malaysia caused multiple injured due to flammable chemical vapor and adequate ventilation. The case emphasizes the high risk nature of IC design clean room. So in this picture, in this slide, got some poster about statistic injured in Malaysia. So it will show statistic about each state in Malaysia. OSHA 1994 employers duties in Section 50 is about the occupation safety and health. At 1994 placed a general duty of care on employers to ensure that safety, health, and welfare of all employees at work. Okay, got five of employees duty in Section 50. Okay, first, safe plan and equipment. Employee must provide machinery, tools, and equipment that are safe to use. For example, in clean room, ensure fabrication, machine and certify regularly expected and maintained to prevent electrical or mechanical hazard. And second is safe system of work. Work process must be designed to minimize risk. For example, SOP for handling chemical, Gurning procedure, and ESD prevention protocol. Okay, for the third one is safe use of chemicals. Employee must control exposure to hazardous substance. For example, provide fume hoods, proper ventilation, and substitute less toxic chemical where possible. Okay, the next is adequate information, instruction, and training. Worker must be trained on hazard, emergency procedure, and safe practice. For example, regular safety briefing, chemical handling, workshop, and fire drill exercise. And the last one is safe workplace environment. Employee must maintain a safe and healthy environment. For example, clean room, at air filtration, ergonomics, workstation and design noise control for vacuum pumps. Okay, so next is OSHA 1994. Employees duty in section 24. Okay, it's about the police duty of employees to take responsible for their own safety and the safety of other work at work. Okay, got four. First is take reasonable care of own safety and others. Worker must avoid careless action that could harm themselves or collision. For example, in clean room, probably wear PPE glove. For example, like PPE glove, goggles, and respirator when handling chemical to prevent exposure. Okay, the second is cooperate with employer safety measure. Employees must follow SOP, attend training, and comply comply with safety instruction. For example, partic- participate in fire drill, chemical handling, workshop, and ESD prevention protocol. Then the third one is do not interfere with safety equipment. Worker must not tamper with the misuse safety device. For example, like do not disable fume hood alarm, bypass interlock on fabrication machine, or remove ESD traps. Okay, the last one is report hazard and unsafe condition. Employees should immediately inform supervisor of unsafe practice or faulty equipment. For example, like report chemical leak, electrical spark, or slippery floor in grounding area. So that's make how to make uh, follow the procedure employee duty in section 24. So this OPSHA employees duty is not the optional because it's legal duty in under OSHA 1994. So OSHA in 2022 amendment is the Occupation Safety and Healthy Act 2022 was passed to strengthen Malaysia OSH framework, updating the original OSHA 1994 and reflect modern workplace realities and introduce the stricter completion requirement. Okay, got six. Okay, the first one is higher penalties. Maximum fine increase significantly up to 5,000 ringgit and imprisonment terms extend. Purpose to deter negligence and enforce accountability among employers. Okay, the second is mandatory safety and healthy management system is SHMS. High risk industry, manufacturing, construction, chemical, and semiconductor must implement a structure SHMS, for example, in clean room. Documented procedure and chemical handling, ESD, prevention to emergency response. Okay, the third one is extend scope of coverage. The art now applies to all workplace, not just those listed under OSHA 1994. Includes gig economy, informal sector, and previously uncovered industry. Okay, the next one is strengthened uh, duties of employers and director. Director and company officer can be held personally liable for OSS failures and promote leadership and accountability in safety culture. Okay, the next one is worker rights and change. Employees have stronger right to refuse unsafe work and also protective against retaliation when reporting hazard. Okay, the last one is alignment with international standard. Okay, in Malaysia brings Malaysia closer to the ILO conversion and global OSH best practice to ensure competitiveness and credibility in international industry like semiconductor manufacturing. Okay, so like I say, the law has been updated. Penalties are now up to 5,000 ringgit. So the director can be held personally liable, and every workplace, include our, must implement a safety and healthy management system. Okay, this means Chief North companies in John Berhad must document procedure to conduct risk assessment and prove complaints. So, Bank Code of Ethics. The Board of Engineer Malaysia (BEM) Code of Ethics set professional standard for engineer. Principle 1 emphasizes that public safety, health and welfare must always be paramount in engineer practice. First, public safety is paramount. Engineer must prioritize human life and safety above profit, convenience, and deadlines. For example, in clean room, ensuring chemical handling system are safe even if in increased project costs. And the second is professional integrity. Engineer must act honestly, avoid neglect, and report unsafe practice. For example, reporting faulty ventilation system or unsafe ESD control even if management resists. And the third one is accountability in engineering decision. Every design, process, or recommendation must consider safety impact. For example, choosing safer materials for semiconductor fabrication even if alternatives are cheaper. And the last one is connection to OSH rule. As a safety officer, you embody engineer ethics by enforcing safety standard. Your duty is not only legal OSHA compliance, but ethical, protective worker in society. So, as an engineer, ethics demand that public safety must come first, even if cost more or take longer. Safety must never be compromised. This both is this is both a legal and moral responsibility. So, MS 1722 in 2011 Safety Management System OSHMS. So in Malaysia, national standard for occupational safety and healthy management system OSHMS, it provides the structure framework to help organization systematically manage workplace safety and healthy. So policy in CL 4.1, management must establish a clear OSH policy signed and endorsed by top leadership. For example, in clean room, policy statement committing to safe chemical handling, ESD, prevention, and zero accident. And the second is planning, CL 4.2, identify hazard, assess risk, and set objective for improvement. For example, plan for reducing chemical exposure accident by 20% in 1 year. And the third one, implementation, CL 4.3, put safety measure into practice, SOP training, PPE, engineering control. For example, install film hood, enforce gowning procedure, and conduct monthly safety drill. This next one is evaluation, CL 4.4, monitor and measure performance against objective. For example, track accident statistics, audit complaints with clean room OSAP, review HIRARC form. The last one is management review in CL 4.5 and 4.6. Senior management must periodically review OSHMS effectiveness. For example, quarterly review meeting to assess safety performance and update policy. So, in MHAS 1722, provide the framework, policy, planning, implementation, evaluate, and review in management. So, in this circle, we'll keep our safety culture alive, not static in our company, in any others companies. So, next one is PDCA circles in OSH. So, PDCS is mean plan, do, check, act is PDCA. Circle is a continuous improvement model widely used in safety management system. It ensures that OSH practice are not static but involved with changing risk and workplace condition. Okay, for the first one, P, plan. Identify hazard and assess risk. Hierarchy. Set safety, objective and develop policy. Second one, D, do. Implement safety, measure and control. Provide training, enforce PPE, use and install engineer control. Then do the third one is C for check. Monitor and measure performance, audit completion, review accident statistic, and evaluate effectiveness of control. And then for the last one, A is act. Take corrective action and improve system, update policy, reverse OSAP, and introduce new technology. Okay, what is HIRARC and why? Okay, HIRARC, HIRARC stand for Hazard Identification, Risk Assessment, and Risk Control. It is the cornerstone of workplace safety management in Malaysia, mandated by the those HIRARC Guideline 2008 Section 4. Hazard Identification stand for HI. Systemic, Systematically identify potential source of harm in the workplace. For example, in clean room, chemical vapor, ESD discharge, ergonomics strain, and fire hazard. And then is risk assessment, stand for RA. Evaluate likelihood L and severity S for each hazard. Use the 5x5 risk matrix to calculate risk level, low, medium, and high. For example, like chemical exposure, L is 3, then S is 5, then the 3 times 5, then to the risk if 50. 50 means is high. Then the last one is risk control, stand for RC. Apply the hierarchy of control, elimination, substitution, engineering, administrative, PPE to PPE endlessly. For example, install fuel hook engineering, enforce SOP, provide respirator in PPE. Okay, so hierarchy process flow. The classify work activities. For example, like break down the task into categories like chemical handling, equipment operation, grounding procedure. For example, in the clean room, classify activities like water fabrication, chemical mixing, and microscope inspection. So The second is identify hazard, is the spot potential source of harm in each activity. For example, chemical vapor, ASD discharge, ergonomic strain, and fire hazard. Okay, and then the next is accessories like likelihood times severity. So use like 5 times 5 risk metric to calculate risk level. For example, like chemical exposure. L is 3, S is 5. Then times, then will become risk in 15. That's mean height. So to apply the control, so in hierarchy of control, so it's about the choose the most effective control elimination. The next is substitution, and the next is engineering. Then next to the administrative, and next to the PPE. For example, install fuel hoop engineering, enforce SOP, administrative provide the respirator PPE. Then the next one is document finding. Record asset, risk score, and control in the hierarchy form. For example, include PIC, person in charge, and the target completion dates. And then the last one is review and update regularly. Continuous monitoring ensure control remain effective. For example, quarterly safety audits, update SOP when the new chemical or equipment are introduced. So, in research, the research like 5 times 5 risk metric is the tool used in HIRARC to quantify risk by multiplying likelihood L and severity S. It helps to provide hazard and decide which control are most urgent. For example, like likelihood L, until scale in 1 to 5. Okay, 1 is that's mean rare, 2 is unlikely, 3 is impossible, possible, 4 is likely, and 5 is almost certain. So for the severity, scale 1 to 5 also, 1 is insignificant, 2 is minor, 3 is moderate, 4 is major, and 5 is catastrophic. So this scale, there's also got the meaning. So for example, like catastrophic, like fatality, multiple injured, and major damage is too dangerous. So like risk level calculation, like uh, L likelihood times severity S times. So in the category scale, like low 1 to 4, if acceptable risk, monitor only. So that means it's low risk, so not to harm for certain people when try to use the machine. And the second is medium. The scale is 5 to 12, so need to control measure. And the last is height, 15 to 25, so need to immediately action required. So that's also got the color coding. So greens mean low risk, yellow is medium risk, and red is high risk. So hierarchy of control. Hierarchy of control is the structure framework used in occupational safety to manage risk in prioritize control measure from most effective to elimination to least effective PPE. This approach the that in the DOSH hierarchy guideline 2008. Okay, the first, the most effective is elimination. Remove the hazard completely. For example, stop using the highly toxic solvent in wafer cleaning by switching to the safer process. Then the second is substitution. Replace the hazard with the safer alternative. For example, use less hazardous CMP slurry or substitute flammable chemical with not flammable one. Okay, the next is engineering control. Isolate people from the hazard using physical and chemical system. For example, like instant fume hood, ESD grounding system, and acoustic insulation for noisy pump. Okay, so the next is administrative control. Change work policy, practice and policy or procedure to reduce risk. For example, like implement SOP for grounding, job rotation to reduce ergonomic strain, and permit to work system for chemical storage. Okay, the least effective is the personal protective equipment, stand for PPE. Is provide the protective gear worker. For example, like glove, goggles, respirators, ESD wrist straps. Then the PPE is the last line of defense, not a substitute for higher level control. So, HIRARC workplace highlight in clean room or fabrication lab. In clean room or fabrication lab, in IC design, is a high-risk environment due to the chemical, electrical, and the ergonomic hazard. Highlight to the most critical risks in the control imply. First one is chemical exposure, CMP slurry, solvent, and acid. Is the risk is very high, and the hazard is the toxic vapor, skin burn, and respiratory issue. Need to control it using fume hood, chemical resistant glove, and respirator speed kits, proper labeling. And the second is electrostatic discharge, ESD. This also is a high risk. Hazard equipment damage, fire spark, worker shock. So how to control it? Using ESD rib straps, grounding mat, humidity control, regular equipment check. And then is ergonomic strain, like microscope use, repetitive tasks. This risk is medium, but the hazard is the neck or back pain. Repetitive strain injured. How to avoid this? Okay, by using ergonomic chair, adjustable workstation, job rotation, and rest break. And the next is fire hazard. It's like flammable chemical electrical fall. This risk is very high. Hazard cause like fire outbreak, smoke inhalation, and property damage. How to prevent this? Is using by fire suppression system, extinguisher, emergency evacuation drill. And the last is noise hazard like vacuum pump, compressor. Okay, this risk is medium, not too high. So the hazard may be caused to hearing loss, fatigue. So how to prevent this? Like to control is acoustic isolation, ear protection, and maintain schedule. So summary and call to action. After review, the OSHA 1994, OSHA 2022 Amendment, BEM Code of Ethics, MS 1722, PDCA, and HIRARC. The final step is to consolidate the key message to drive immediate action. Okay, the key is safety is the share responsible. The employee section 50 plus also employees section 24. OSH is the both legal and ethical, like OSHA compliance plus BEM code of ethics. systematic approach is ensure is MS 1722 and PDCA circles ensure continuous improvement. HIRARC is the backbone to identify, assess and control risk in clean room operation. Okay, why? Because those audit in 4 weeks, like documentation to com- completion must be ready. High risk environment, chemical, electrical, ergonomics hazard cannot be ignored. Stronger penalty under OSHA 2022 is not completion risk fine up to 5,000 ringgit in criminal and also the criminal liability. So, to summarize this, safety is shared. The employees both have duties. Completion is legal, but ethics makes it stronger. MS 1722 and PDCA give us structure, and HIRARC is our daily tool. So, that's all for me. Thank you.